And as a broadcaster, journalist and documentary maker, your skill set is varied. Would you say versatility nowadays is important?
I think versatility is not just important, I think it's absolutely crucial. And the one bedrock underpinning all quality journalists that I know is an ability to tell a story compellingly, as well as a kind of a rigor, not only to make sure the story stands up, but that you've pursued it to its natural ends within the time you're limited. And in many ways, the thing that only separates investigative journalism from other forms of journalism is time to run at it and just ability to really unpick the meaning of something.
And aside from drugs, weaponry is another big issue nowadays. You decided to base your first book on this, Gun Baby Gun. Would you say the aim of this is awareness?
Certainly my ambition is to argue that the American obsession with guns and the right to bear arms in the United States is no longer an American domestic issue. I think that there's been a consequence to that. Not only have I just talked about the issue of gun violence in Central America, which is fueled largely by American arms, but also I think in terms of the international treaties that you witness. So the three major gun treaties in existence at the United Nations, or treaties that would touch on small arms, only one of the top 15 gun producers countries in the world has signed up to all three. And America has repeatedly tried to curtail and silence and reduce international efforts to stem the spread of small arms. So really it was an articulation that the American right to bear arms isn't just an American problem.
And there's a lot of controversy surrounding jihadism and jihadists at the moment in the press. What's your take on this? It's another sensitive subject, I suppose.
Well, I think there's certainly been an underreporting of the fact that the vast majority of Islamic-based violent attacks affect Muslims. I think it's a Muslim issue that needs to be addressed within the Islamic communities. Clearly there is a small, but I wouldn't say deep fear of individuals in Cardiff or other parts of Britain fearing an IED attack or an Islamic attack. I don't think it's easy for an Islamic group to get their hands on semi-automatic weapons in Britain. I think the wider issue is the fact that there's been a 70% increase in suicide bombings globally in the last 3 years, that tens of thousands of people are killed. And I've done reports on suicide bombings in Pakistan and elsewhere. And the intriguing thing is, as well, I think as the media were obsessed by the dead, listing the dead, to me the intriguing thing is, what about the wounded? Many, many, many more people are wounded by Islamic attacks, and they spend the rest of their lives often with horrendous disabilities, and it's their story that is often underreported. So I think there's huge danger of hijacking of the issue and an exaggeration of the nature of the threat. I think the threat is real, but it's on Muslims living in Islamic countries. It's not on somebody living in rural Britain.